There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Hi, everybody. It's Miss Jen, and we're going to be talking shop today on the experience. By the way, that little push promo is a total lie. We love you in a stalkery way, too. Hey, we've got some awesome lineup today we're going to talk to creators of books that are coming out this week or have books in play already, and you should totally catch up. We're going to start out first with Markisan Naso, all the way from Hawaii, and Jason Muhr from the great state of Illinois. Welcome.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
When I said it all wrong, mahalo.
You got it.
By the way, it took me almost all my life to be able to go and visit Hawaii for the first time.
Oh, really? When did you do that?
We did it when our boys were just a little bit younger, probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And then we've come back since then because I realized it's such an amazing space. And I love the Big Island because it's just much more raw and natural. And I like to go hiking. And
yeah, I mean, there's hiking on all the islands. I'm on Honolulu, but I love Big Island too. But there's just no shortage of trails or beaches here on Oahu.
They're really not. It's such a beautiful place, and if people are listening and have never been before, it's just to me it's a very spiritual place. You totally understand the culture, and everyone's so warm, wonderful peoples.
It is, yeah. I can't complain. It's very inviting, very warm, very tranquil, and I look out on the water every single day from my office, so it's pretty fantastic.
Oh, lucky. I guess it's probably not such a big thing to say that you have ocean views there, right?
I guess. I mean, I suppose some places have better views than others. We have a really nice one.
Mm-hmm. Then, Jason, do you live anywhere near the lake?
No. I live in the suburbs of Chicago.
Which one?
I do concur that Hawaii is amazing. I love Hawaii. We've been there many times. We've actually been out to visit Markisan before. And
yeah.
It's an amazing place.
Before COVID.
Yeah. Right under the wire.
What's your suburb, Jason?
I live in St. Charles, Illinois. Around there. Technically, I live in Elburn, but no one knows where Elburn is. St. Charles is a little bit bigger of a suburb. So in that area, western suburbs.
Yeah, we spent 2 years there. My husband went to business school at Northwestern and worked in Skokie. So.
Oh, yep.
And I love that time there too. This is the thing I've learned. It's like anywhere that you think you know what you're getting into. Like I was sure when I went to Chicago for the first time, I was going to see a bunch of gangsters on the corner with Tommy guns, and then that would be really difficult. But I think it's the same anywhere, right? People have a misconception. People think that we're riding horses to, the saloon here in Texas. And that we all have like guns on our hips and we're going to shoot you for no reason.
That is true.
Yeah.
Texas is definitely stereotyped, but there's some really nice places in Texas.
Yeah. It's like Texas is almost like 5 states in one. It's so huge.
Mm-hmm.
So different. Like Houston's so different than Dallas. Dallas is really the only place that I can think of in Texas that actually has accents. For some reason.
Really? Huh. Didn't know that.
Like I've lived in Texas all my life almost, and I don't have a single bit of accent that I can hear in my own voice.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. My wife is from Kentucky, and she has no accent. Yeah. But most of her family does.
I think this is what happens. I think we all learn our first language from Sesame Street. So it's just a wonder we don't talk like Muppets.
I mean, that'll be okay with me.
You don't think you have an accent, but every once in a while you'll go somewhere. My wife and I traveled to California a few years ago, and they were amused by our Chicago accents, for sure.
The only thing
I didn't think we had, but
the thing that I noticed that was uniquely Chicago was that in Texas, every kind of soda is called a Coke.
yeah.
When you go to the restaurant, they say, "What kind of Coke do you want?" I'll take a Pepsi. Yeah, it's just what everything's called. And I had to like change everything when I went to Chicago. Everything's is soda or pop.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's a Southern thing. I think the Coke thing's a Southern thing.
Totally.
For sure.
Okay, so you guys have been working together for a long time. I did not realize that you guys both worked on Voracious together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same
So how did you
team.
guys meet? What was the first project you guys talked about working on together? Was it Voracious, and that's where you started?
Yeah, Voracious was the first one. So I lived in Chicago for 20 years before I moved out here to Hawaii. But when I first moved there, I had to find a comic book shop. And Jason was working at the comic book shop that I decided to make my home. And there was a contest online for writing a story based on the book The Authority, if people remembers that from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So I won that contest, and Jason was an artist, and I gave him my script so he could draw it because he was interested in making comics since he was little. So he did that. He did a few pages, and then he went off to art school and didn't see Jason for a really long time after that, probably like 10 years or so after that. And we happened to meet up again because we had a mutual friend, the guy who ran that comic book shop, Bobby. He wanted to do a comic book and tried to enlist me to help him write it and another guy. And we worked on it, but it just wasn't gelling with three different voices. So that project went by the wayside, but Bobby had sent Jason, some of the ideas, and Jason like sketched out some of the characters that we were thinking about doing. And I saw those. And when that project went through, I contacted Jason. I was like, listen, I have some other ideas. You want to grab a beer and maybe talk about them? Maybe we can work on a project together. So that's what we did. We went and had some beers, and I had a few projects. I pitched him, and Voracious was the one that he liked the best. It's the one that I wanted to do the most. For people who don't know, it's about a chef who travels through time, kills dinosaurs, and serves them at a restaurant in the present. And I also had all those drawings that Jason did of The Authority because he had given them to me like 10 years ago, and I gave them back to Jason. So he had forgotten all about those.
Yeah, I didn't recognize them at all. I looked at them and I'm like, I think I do these. But yeah, we were really fortunate because Voracious was the first book we worked on together, and it was the first published thing we ever had. So we didn't have a long gestation period as a partnership,
Yeah. Well, I'll take that back a little bit because we published Voracious as an ash can called Cretaceous ourselves to use to pitch, but it actually wasn't the first thing that got published. We did an anthology story.
Oh yeah,
for this Irish anthology. Remember that, Jason?
Yeah, a horror story.
It was a horror story. It's 8 pages, and that's how we got Andre on board because we were looking for a colorist, and we're like, well, let's give him this project that we're doing. We'll see how we work with him and what he does on colors. So that actually is the first thing that we ever published, is the anthology story, and it was Lightning Strikes, something like that. I think was the name of the anthology.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So for the viewers out there that want to try to go hunt down the most rare things ever, Cretaceous and Lightning Strikes.
Yeah.
You know that now people are going to show up at your whatever booth you're doing next at Convention X. If you're going to conventions now, they're going to show up with one of those and be like, "Ha
I'd be really impressed if somebody had that horror anthology.
Yeah, because I only have one copy of it.
Yeah.
I keep trying to get more copies from the publisher, and they never send them to me. I was like, I'll just pay for them. I just want some copies, but I only have one. The Cretaceous ash can, actually, people have been asking me about that lately. I've given a couple away recently because I only have a few left. We only made 100, but most of them we gave out to our friends and family, and then we used some to send to publishers. And we sold a bunch at C2E2, the convention in Chicago, years ago. But we still have a few left. They're pretty cool.
I figured out recently that if I buy collections, like back room collections of a certain age, that I'll find things like that. Like I came across a couple hundred copies of Clayton Crane's first work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like a weird, it feels very much like something that I made back in the 90s when I was making comics out of my own comic book store.
Right.
Like we made it at Kinko's, you know?
Yeah.
Those kind of versions.
Wow.
So I think we all started somewhere, right? From doing, you have to kind of make something on your own first to be taken seriously almost.
Yeah.
Rare exception.
I mean, you have to, if you want to get into comic books, you have to make a comic book. It's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, no publisher is going to read just a script or a bunch of sketches. They need to see a comic, completed issue. Mm-hmm. A, to read it in its final form, to absorb it, but also to show that you guys can complete it.
Yeah, I think that's most of it, right? That you'll stick to it at least long enough to make one of your own.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, it shows that you have the fortitude, you have the desire to do the comic book too, because there's so many people out there who have ideas for great comic books and they just don't follow through. So, I mean, you have to demonstrate that too, to have the aptitude for comics, because it's hard work, man.
Oh yeah. I think that comic books, just like other industries, like the music industry and theater and film, 99% of the way people get work is that they just nose to the grindstone, do the work, and do it sometimes for free until they get their nose in the door. And then that creates the opportunities to actually do it professionally.
Yeah,
sure.
And even when you start doing it professionally, you might not make any money. Doing indie comic books, you're doing it for the love and the passion mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and with things like Kickstarter, you might not even need a publisher.
That's a good point, Jason.
You put your book together and you can just sell it directly to people now. I know Comixology takes comics like that now, so there's a million routes into the comic industry. Yeah. Not all of them super successful, but you could definitely get your book published and out there and start building a fan base.
Yeah, right. As long as you're willing to put the work in, you can get it out there.
Yes, you just have to find, unless you're like super talented and can write, draw, color, letter, edit your own stuff, you got to have a team. So
right,
like you guys have got a perfect team put together. Do you guys have I know that right now you're doing By the Horns. Do you have a future project planned together?
Well, By the Horns is going to be a continuing series. We just found this out, so we're really happy about that. Scout loves the book. We love Scout, and they want us to keep going on it. So it was originally 6 issues, and then I added another issue because I had a dream, and I wrote this one issue in my dream, and I had to do it, and Jason agreed. And then when Scout's like, yeah, we'd like it to be a continuing series, added another issue. So the first arc is 8 issues. And then the trade will come out, and then a couple months after that, and then we'll get right back into it and keep going with the series. So we're redoing that. We do have other ideas. Jason and I, we always talk about tons of other ideas, but I think we'll be working on By the Horns for the foreseeable future.
That'll be awesome. I'm totally going to get down and talk about that. But I love when I kind of like look up background information and find some really cool things about people. Like Markisan, tell me about the Metalheads podcast. That just intrigues me. Are you a musician by trade?
No, I'm not a musician. I don't have a lot of musical ability. Some people say I could sing, but I don't really.
Is that person you?
That's my mom, actually. So I actually was on NPR. I did a song to my cat because I always sing songs to my cat, and they have an intro for NPR politics, and I got on the cat singing. So if anybody wants to hear it, you can. But no, the Metalheads, I just love metal. I've been a metalhead for a really, really long time, and I love podcasts too. So a few years ago, I was looking for a podcast on metal, and I stumbled on the Metalheads podcast, and it was far and away my favorite podcast. And one day they put out a call for listeners to come on the show because the podcast the guys on there just have a great camaraderie, and they just love meeting new people who love metal as well. We interview bands and artists and all kinds of people that are involved in metal. But so I said, hey, I'd love to be on the cast. So I ended up being on it. They interviewed me about Voracious at the time because By the Horns wasn't out, and I just got along really well with those guys, and they just kept inviting me back. So then I became a host on the Metalheads podcast, and so I just love those guys to death. And we just recorded our top 25 albums at mid-year, which is a pretty big one. Our cast usually lasts like 5-6 hours, so they're pretty diehard. Yeah.
So when you say the top 25, you just mean that were released this year or for all time?
For this year to the mid-year, so it would be January through June. So we do that, and then at the end of the year, we do our top 25 for the whole year.
That's got to be really hard because I'm just guessing you all have differing opinions in this way. Do you like thumb war it out, or what? And you guys don't agree?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. We all have different tastes in metal. I mean, sometimes it aligns, but when we're on the podcast, then we discuss it and we give our opinions on those albums and everything. And sometimes somebody finds something and people give it a shot and then they end up loving it, So, I mean, I get recommendations from the boys on the cast, and they get some from me, and we get a ton of promos. So labels and bands, they send us lots of promos. I think we listen to more metal than any other entity out there, maybe Decibel Magazine, who we love as well, but it's really fun. We spend a lot of time on it. It's like a second job.
JD says, tell Markisan to watch out for the new Zombies album coming out late this year, early next.
All right, will do.
Is that a local band to you, JD? It's always good to know. All right, and Jason, I wanted to know about the Doctor Strange Punisher Magic Bullets run. How did you pitch that idea to Marvel, or did you just
No, they asked me to do that. That was a Marvel Infinity book. So Marvel for a while, I don't know if they're still doing them, but they were doing books where they're meant to be viewed online, but it wasn't like a standard comic book page. Like panels would like kind of come in and overlap each other, and you could do different stuff with the median. You can control the pacing of things, and they needed someone who had some digital comics experience. And actually, I got recommended by Mark Waid to do it. I don't know, maybe he was in the Marvel offices that day. And he just threw my name out there. I had met him actually years ago at San Diego Comic-Con right before Voracious came out. Mark Waid had a website called Thrillbent, and he was doing digital comics on there. They're running this contest to find like an undiscovered talent to do a short story with him. So I went and saw him. I actually brought Voracious pages because I had been working on it at that point, but it hadn't been published yet. And he liked my stuff, and I ended up winning the contest, and we kind of did this short story together. And then like 6 months later, he threw my name out there as someone that knew how to kind of control the pacing of a digital comic in a certain way that's different than like a regular comic. And yeah, I got hired to do that. It was a ton of fun.
I mean, who else just can say they got name dropped by Mark Waid?
I know. It was amazing. It was amazing first to get the email from Marvel like, hey, do you want to do this? And then secondly to say it was because of a recommendation from Mark Waid. Yeah.
I'd be wearing that as a shirt.
Recommended by Wade.
Yeah, I made sure to ask him for a pull quote for Voracious Volume 1, which he graciously did too.
Oh yeah, it was really nice of him.
Yeah.
Great guy. So I see you have a bunch of medals behind you. What are those for?
Running.
Oh, like distance or?
Yeah, distance, half marathons mainly.
Oh wow.
When you hunch over a desk all day drawing, you gotta make sure you exercise on the weekends. So yeah, running, and then you can see kind of my my massive toy collection back there.
Wow,
those are all toys. Oh,
you might need to reinforce
your
that
favorite
shelf,
one?
buddy.
What's my favorite toy?
Your favorite line.
I'm a big Marvel Legends guy. Especially like the MCU figures. I made the mistake right after I came out of the first Avengers movie years ago. I was like, man, I love that movie so much. I think I'm going to buy some of the figures because I don't really buy movie figures, and then it's been downhill ever since then. Every time there's a Marvel movie, I got to buy all the figures. But yeah, pretty extensive collection. I also love the Batman the Animated Series figures that came out a few years ago that DC Direct was doing. Got all those. And then the whole top shelf is just Simpson figures, the old Playmate figures from like the late 90s, early 2000s, because I'm a big Simpsons guy.
Do you have any of the sets that like talk?
Oh, yeah. They're up there. But those take up a lot of space. Some of those are in a box in the basement, but all the figures are up there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jason, do you have any hidden talents that no one knows about other than running, half marathons, which is amazing?
No, drawing is too time consuming to have hidden talents. As you can see, I'm literally drawing while we're talking. But
I can appreciate a multitasker.
Yeah, it's mostly the drawing and running.
Do you use is that a Cintiq or?
I'm on a Wacom. Yeah, I'm on a 21-inch Wacom. That's how I do the book. I did Voracious that way, and I'm doing By the Horns that way.
So, do you prefer digital to doing practical?
Yes, I've almost always done digital. I started drawing comics digitally since Voracious #1, so I almost don't even know how to do comics traditionally. The only time I ever really draw traditionally is at a convention when somebody wants a commission, or if somebody wants a remark on a comic book. Sometimes I'll buy them off my website and I'll do stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, all the books are all digital. I mean, I think one, it makes inking easier. I don't have to pencil and then sit down and ink it, and then it just goes faster. Because there's times I'll be drawing by hand and I'll do something wrong and I'll instinctively go to hit Command Z to undo it. It's weird. It's just a muscle memory,
Yeah.
Or like I'll draw something and I'm so used to drawing something I don't get it right, so I undo it, draw it again. And sometimes I'll draw something, I'll be like, oh no, that's it, that's permanent. So yeah, it's a weird sensation, but I think especially with like independent books when you got to be the whole production team, you can't hire an inker, you have to be your own designer, your own layout guy. Digital is almost a necessity. And it makes getting the artwork to Andre, who's our colorist, easier. I just draw it and upload it, and then he colors it digitally and sends it right back, and then I letter it.
It's very smart because back in my day, you had to like wait for stuff to come in the mail. If you were up against a deadline, it was terrible.
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine that. Especially, and then the beauty of digital is you can always fix stuff. I mean, for instance, we sent out By the Horns #4 to print this morning, and last night I was still making some minor art corrections, even though it had been colored and lettered. It's digital, so I can go in there and fix this eyeball that looks a little wonky or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the only drawback is that Jason doesn't have original art to sell.
Yeah,
because a lot of artists make a lot of money on that. But you've done like a digital one print before.
Yeah, some digital artists will do a one-of-one print, high end. Yeah, I'd like to do those in the future, but I might consider doing some covers by hand in the future for that reason, so I have some original art, but I don't know, with deadlines I just don't have time to do that. Like, you got to get the book out.
Now you can make NFTs.
No.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to. Don't get me started on that.
It is a very controversial thing. I don't even know how to, like, we've talked about it before at the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, like who owns what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How could you sell things that have, someone else's owned the characters, or I don't know. It's going to be difficult, and I'm glad I'm not a lawyer and have to figure it out.
Sure. I mean, I don't want to get into it because some people might be really into NFTs, but I question the longevity of something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of seems a little faddish right now.
Yeah, I still don't have my mind wrapped around how could, if someone wanted to, couldn't they replicate it?
Sure. It's just bragging rights, essentially.
They could also replicate original art, though, too.
Yeah, you could replicate original art. For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. So I know that I read #2 of By the Horns, and it changed a lot from like the true I'm out to kill everything with hornness of the #1, which I did also like. If you're gonna take this into this idea of, like, you killed someone I loved, it's on and you're all dying. How do you move from that storyline into a long-term story arc?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean,
yeah. Did we even say the premise of the book?
No, sorry.
In case people don't know what it is.
Go ahead. You guys can say it better.
Well, basically, it's The Last Unicorn Meets Kill Bill. It's a sci-fi fantasy action series about a hunter named Elodie who wants to kill all the unicorns on the continent of Salathus for trampling her husband. Mm-hmm. But the problem is it's impossible to find unicorns, so Elodie just starts murdering anything out there with a horn in frustration. And that gets her kicked out of the village. So she sets out with her telepathic half wolf, half deer friend, Sajin. And they try to make one last go at tracking down unicorns and getting revenge. But they end up discovering that there's a greater threat to the continent than unicorns. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's for Elodie, she's traumatized and she's so narrowly focused on this one mission, this one goal, that she can't really see what else is going on outside of her or how it affects others. So, how do you move the story is that, there's more characters, there's more parts of the world that are dealing with problems that may be more substantial, that may be more important than, what she's dealing with. And, getting roped into something like that, can Elodie make that transition? Can she stop trying to just get revenge and help others, or is she going to be completely focused on murdering unicorns? So that's how you move it along. And a lot of these other characters that we introduced in 2, like you just mentioned, that you get a lot more of the cast. Mm-hmm. So the things that have affected them in their lives will also affect Elodie going forward. So plus Jason and I, when we do comics, we like doing a lot of good surprises in the book. We like to do books where you're not really sure what's going to happen in it. I feel like Voracious is like that, and so is By the Horns. It's kind of unpredictable.
Yeah, I've already started to conspiracy theory out things that could be going on. Yeah. I won't have to say them anymore because it's eerie how my really far out the conspiracy theories for actually what's going on in comic books, how often that's exactly what's going on, and I don't like to wreck it for people.
Right.
Maybe you just read enough comic books, you're like, they're probably thinking what I am, that it has to be really far left to surprise us, so I'll think really far left.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think when we originally started, I think we just wanted to do a 6-issue miniseries, and we kind of had a beginning, middle, and end to it. But I think as the book went along, we really like to start developing backstories for side characters, the villains, the world in general, different places. And I think as that stuff started to grow, I think the scope of the book started to grow. And now there's a lot more surprises coming. Because we just come up with, as we're doing the book, we'll just come up with oh, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And, all of a sudden it becomes part of the major plot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that was cool about Scout saying, hey, yeah, we'd like you to do more. And that's great. And I was like, oh, man, now I got to seed more of these other ideas that Jason and I have been talking about. And so that's been pretty fun, too, because you never know how your book's going to go. This is the other thing with indie comics is, you put out a book, even if you get a publisher, you don't know if the audience is going to be there for the book. So you don't know how long you have to actually do it. And so that can be a little bit tricky, because if you try to plan out something too long and you don't have the audience to sustain it, you have a lot of dangling plots and you just never get to finish the actual story. So it can be a little bit tricky because you kind of focus on making it a mini series, but you have other elements that you can grow if you have the opportunity.
Yeah, you got to walk that fine line of being able to pull the parachute if your book's not going to make it very far. You have an ending, but then also expand it if you need to. It's a fine line. It's tricky for independent people that want to do a longer term story.
Yeah,
because you got to be prepared for 100 issues, and you also got to be prepared for 5 issues.
will just say, if for anyone out there, like Joe's looking forward to reading his issue 2, he already has. It's not too late
thanks,
to get
Joe.
into the series. It's readily available at local comic shops near you. Just go to comicshoplocator.com and you'll be able to find a shop that has copies for you. And you can support super talented folks and let them follow their dreams, because we want to see more from them, of course. Where would people, where would you like people to follow you on social media?
You can follow the book itself at By the Horns Comic. It's By the Horns Comic on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. That's where all the updates on the book are. And then myself, I have a website, jasonmuhr.com, M-U-H-R. And then I'm just Jason Muhr on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, and I have a website. It's markisan.com, M-A-R-K-I-S-A-N. I'm Darth San on Twitter and Darth Markisan on Instagram. You can listen to the Metalheads podcast on your favorite podcast app, or just go to metalheadspodcast.com to play the episodes. I've also done some written features and interviews with bands on there. And I also own a record company called Skull Fracture Records. So you can go to skullfracturerecords.com. Yeah, and we did a soundtrack for By the Horns, which has been really fun with metal bands, of course.
Nick Brucci's on and says hi, and Tom says he'll take 100 issues, please.
I mean, Jason and I love this book so much. I could see us getting that far, because we've chatted and we have a lot of ideas, and it gets crazy.
Yeah. We just text each other ideas all the time. Like, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? Wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And it's cool to seed that stuff in the future. You know, the cool thing about the book too is By the Horn takes place in a world where anything can really happen. It's a world of fantasy, but there's technology. So any idea we can come up with is fair game. And it's our book too, so no one's going to tell us, no, that doesn't fit in the world.
Right. As well, they should not, because it's in good hands. It's a beautifully written and drawn universe. And I look forward to reading and enjoying the art for many more issues. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining. We ran out of time, but I would love to have you back whenever we get further into this series, so we can talk about my crazy conspiracy theories and where they go, right?
Well, thank you, Jen. Yeah, we'll come back anytime you want.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to pop right back. We've got another great guest coming next.
Thanks.
Bye.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Miss Jen, and you're watching Talking Shop on the Experience. We have a guest coming back for a two-peat. Recently released a totally sold-out book, Freaks Know, and is going to be starting this week on Wednesday, having a book come out that is releasing to the public, completely sold out already. It's crazy. Welcome, Kevin Parent Roditelli, all the way from Quebec.
Yo, how you doing, Jen?
Doing good.
Doing good as well. Well, I can just do good with what you just said.
I'll be your hype girl.
Man, I look like I'm doing a statement right now. I was just wearing that for the joke, but I was not expecting to do a podcast. I'm like, I'm not really Team Joe. I don't know. I just found that funny. I got a picture with him. like that.
What's your other choice, to be Team Baskin?
No, she didn't kill her husband. I'm pretty sure.
Come on.
It's clear. It's
kind of funny. That whole advent of that, because they've got that going on. They've got two movies in development about
right,
it.
with Nicolas Cage.
I mean, Nick Cage is kind of perfect for that, because if he goes full Nick Cage, he can totally reach almost the level of Joe Exotic.
I think so. It's gonna be awesome.
So you want to know the only reason that I have any copies of your book left, Kevin?
Go ahead.
They lost my boxes and sent them to someone's house in a town near us. And that super sweet person, instead of like throwing them away or selling them for, thousands of dollars on the internet, found out who we were and called us and arranged for us to come pick up the box. So there are amazing people left in the world that do the right thing. And I say thank you to the manager of Camp Bow Wow locally here in Spring.
Well, thanks to them.
Thanks
to them.
So did I got it right? This was a complete sellout?
Yeah, they are. So I'm glad you got them, because it wasn't possible to reorder.
Yeah, so now I get to finally read it. I've been gone and haven't had a chance to, so I'm going to finally get to sit down and read it. I read the first series, obviously, but I can't wait to read this. So are they going to go to a second print, do you think? Are they second print kind of people?
No, we won't. Just like we sold out and we continue to run.
Yeah. That's okay. Then it makes it even rarer. People are like on top of it for the next time, anything that you put out. Now they're just going to put down anything that Kevin writes. I need it in my pull box, because clearly it's going to sell out before I can even come and buy it off the rack. We're just going to train it.
There you go. That's the plan. I'm here to be the next Todd McFarlane, I guess.
Oh, gonna be then. You wait a minute. If you're going to be Todd McFarlane, I cannot be your hype man, because he's his own hype man.
That's true. So I quit. Bye.
Who's going to work on it? You can do it.
I will. Sure. I will. I will. I'm coming with my toys really soon.
Okay, something we didn't get to talk about last time, and I did want to talk about this time, was that you get to be something crazy called an editor of licensing division at Behemoth. What does that even mean?
I'm editing books I cannot talk about. So that's kind of the easiest way to describe, but at the same time, it sucks to just say that, because we're working on so many cool licenses right now. Some AAA video games, big movies that you have all seen, and it's freaking awesome. But it's all in 2022, so in 2023. So it's not announced yet, but I can wait. It's amazing. It's amazing licenses, and I can wait for people to read them.
So what is Behemoth doing that allowed them to kind of like just start big? Like I don't ever remember them being a little company. Like I remember them coming out and having sought after books from the get-go. What do you think is what they're doing right about that?
Oh, I think we don't really know ourselves. Just like we are passionate about all our titles. I think we are putting out quality, and it's people are connecting with, and we've been pretty lucky at some point. But we are working hard. All the team, we're working super hard. But I don't know what is the secret recipe that we and all the team at BBN are doing. Just like it's working, so yeah, it's awesome. But I don't know why exactly, but I think we got a cool brand, and books are connecting with people, and we are super happy. Any publishing company will dream to be at that level in less of a year, because we started right in the pandemic. If I'm not wrong, the first one of BMN was March 2020. So
yeah, I was thankful to have the books, honestly, because there were comic book stores like me that, even though we were operating at a very low level, our customers really were hungry for anything to escape with, right? They were like, give me something that makes me not think about what's going on. So comic books are that, because we certainly couldn't do movies. They took that away from us. So
and right, and I think that a lot of people started the hobby of comic book while being in the pandemic. Like, I had a lot of friends that had no interest, and it would have been impossible to say to them, hey, read the comics. And now they started to read comics, because at some point, like you said, like, movies were gone, and halfway through the pandemic, like, you did watch everything on Netflix that you were interested in. So what's left? Reading books again. So a lot of people did start, and at the same time, a lot of people started the hobby of selling comics as well. Like, the collector market and resale is just crazy right now. So a lot of people, even if they're not readers, they get into comics, and I think it's a win for all the industry right now. So that's super cool. We're living a cool boom in the industry, and especially for indie comic books, because I think that now that a lot of superhero movies has been done, people thinks, and it's true, indie comics are the next big thing that Hollywood will be looking at,
Yeah, I feel like they already have really started to think about it, because they're already a very visual medium, and you can already see whether they have a fan base. It's kind of weird, because sometimes they don't even wait that long. Sometimes they pick up a property before even the book has come out, which is interesting. They must just have a gut feeling about it.
Yeah, because it's a bidding war right now, between studios and stuff like that, and they can just put an option, and an option doesn't mean that the movie would happen. It's just like, we secure the right, So it's kind of a weird war that they are doing. But a lot of comics right now has option, but probably like 10% of them will actually get a movie, and that's part of the fantastic game of rights.
Oh yeah. All right, so MFKZ was already the Netflix movie first.
Yeah. So there they are. So the 110 cover, we got a 1.5 cover right here. The Vince, like that, the cool painting that we had for a cover. This one, a cover C, is super cool. Cover B is the one that is super hot right now, and we understand why. And the main cover, which was the poster for the Netflix movie. So MFKZ started as a French comics, was first published in 2006, and since my first language is French, MFKZ was my favorite French comics ever, and that was my first move as the publisher of my imprint, to say to BMN, I'm going to take the rights of this thing. It's I don't understand why it's not in the States yet. Like, it's super big in France, and here no one knows about that thing. So not a lot of people was believing in my move, and I was like, I was just looking like the French guys that was just a fanboy of the thing. and at some point, I did the deal, and it looks like it did work out. So we are super happy that it connect with the American readers, and Wednesday we're gonna know it for real. But the orders were crazy. We did rated 40,000 copies for the number one, which is super insane for an indie company.
I can't wrap my mind around the fact that was the print run size, and it's already gone. That's nuts. Right.
Pretty crazy, and same thing, we should not go for a second print. So those are the last ones. You need to run at your show on Wednesday, and grab it now.
I think after I talked to you last time, I think I went and upped my order.
For sure, yeah.
Do it enough.
That's a good move. Like MFKZ is gonna be crazy, and we already see it on social media right now. We're making the build up, and everyone is like MFKZ, MFKZ. So it's so special because for us, it's the first time. Well, it's our second release with the imprint, so like it's not always the first time that we feel that level of eye for a book, and it's just special and weird at the same time because you feel. It's like being an influencer for a day, you know, with all the DMs and all the posts and reposts and stuff like that. So it's crazy to see the community being in love with the book, and a lot of people can wait for it, and it's super awesome for us.
So what is the show about? Because I haven't gotten a chance to go and watch it.
So we follow a guy, Angelino, that guy, and his best friend Vince, which is like a little ghost raider type of guy. Well, that dude, and they are best friend living in the dystopian LA, and it's something with a big world building. You know, there is some luchadors that are superheroes, weird government type of agency that are running after our guys. We don't know why. There is gangsters. Well, it's a big world with a lot of characters, a world building. If you love IPs that really take time to build a world with many characters, and you really feel that you jump into a universe, you're gonna love MFKZ. It's super hard to describe because it's pretty much we follow those two guys in a big city with many characters, and our main guy doesn't know why he is different. You know, he never knew who his parents were and stuff like that. And it's a big coming of age of our character to find out who he is and why all those people want him dead. You know, so it's and we got a lot of books to release, so we got probably like 50 issues that we can come out with of MFKZ. So we hope it's connect with people because this can be our elbow or span, like for a happy thing, you know, as a flagship title.
So so does it come out on Netflix? Is it a movie or is it a series?
Yeah, a movie. It's a movie. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to go hunt it down and watch it so I can enjoy it, but I'm going to definitely be reading the book first because I'll do my review reading tomorrow. So
awesome. And you will see the movie. It's one of the gorgeous animation I have seen of my life. It was done by a studio that did Batman at Gotham Knight. They did Animatrix. They did some crazy Japanese animation. And the movie is just insane. They mix a couple of art style into it, and it's just beautiful. Go watch it. Everyone is on Netflix, and everyone has Netflix, so go for it.
Maybe not everyone has Netflix, but
well, you can share your icon with many friends.
That's true.
No one does that.
Yeah, it's interesting. My son is kind of like become what I thought might happen when you could turn things on and off each month. Like he's like right now got HBO Max on. He's like at the end of the month I'm turning it off. I've watched what I've went so far. He's gonna want to turn on something else.
Now it's the same pricing than when we were paying cable, you know. So it's like, okay, I don't need Hulu for the next 6 months. Why would I pay for it? So that's kind of cool that now we have this option and not just pay the cable bill forever, you know.
Exactly. So have you had any feedback from anyone about the Freak Snow popularity? Have you been contacted by other artists or publishers about how much they liked it?
Yeah, it's been a crazy week, like 2 weeks ago, and now we are going back with MFKZ, and I like the first book. The people that are digging it are really digging it. We have like a lot of people that are making like conspiracy and just like sharing the stories and be like where it's gonna go, and it's super awesome. The reviews are great, and people seems to dig it, and had a lot of shop reaching out and say, hey, we are sold out, can I have more book? Nope, I'm sorry, we are sold out as well. So it's super cool that our book did connect with a lot of person like that, and we wish to continue that series further, other miniseries set in the universe.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. So what do you have any other books in progress right now that you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah, for sure. We got Cinnamon #1 next month that will release on August 28th, if I'm not wrong. And that one is super cool. It's you follow a cat that is kind of schizophrenic in an apartment and believe that everything around him is kind of a city, and the owner of the cat is actually a big kaiju. All the rats that are in the walls are actually like little monsters. So that cat believed that he is a true badass superhero on a motorcycle, but actually just a normal cat. So Signament #1 gonna drop. And that book is awesome. Victoria Doodless is one of the next big name in comics, I'm pretty sure. So I'm glad that we are publishing our first book. It's amazing. And right after that, well, on the previews that dropped Friday, I think the next previews catalog is Friday. And well, it goes so fast when we start playing with the previews catalog. And we got Turbo Kid #1 in the previews. And that book, I'm pretty sure gonna do great because it's based on a movie, and the movie got a big cult followings. And Turbo Kid is awesome. We got 5 covers. It's a feature item in the previews as well. So I think this #1 gonna do great as well. So we are super pumped.
Are they all under the Happy Tank banner?
Yeah, all under the Happy Tank banner, and we should announce another #1 really soon. It's gonna be the last #1 of this year for us, so we are super excited.
So, how do you balance your creative time with the work that you do for Behemoth? Do you like have a completely separate part of your day that you do your creatives and then log in and do editing, or is it just whenever you get to do it, you can do it?
Yeah, I'm not someone that loves schedules, so it's more like I do it when I can, so and when I want. It's really goes with the flow. Sometimes I could be like 3 months without writing, and I have no problem with that. And after I can be like 2 weeks and just writing, and after I go back to publishing and stuff like that. So just I really go with the flow and where my mind is. There is some like, for example, Freak Snow. We for the first book we had like. It was written over a year or something. I just go back and after just because I needed to live some experience to finish the stories. I'm someone that write like a method actor in some way, that I need to live some stuff to find kind of what the story is. And I love to just be creative like that and not push a story to come out, because I'm super busy. I mean, I have a publishing company and I have a marketing company on the side, plus I write books. So I feel if I will be like, oh, I need to write now on the computer, I will just go crazy, and I think the quality of my book will be like that. And people seem to dig it, so I will continue to write like that and just be crazy and wear some Joe Exotic t-shirts.
Are you the kind of person that is a nighttime worker? Do you like wake up in the middle of the night and just get it done? Are you a good sleeper? Are you a good sleeper?
I'm the type of dude. It's depends on the day. Sometimes I can sleep like at 8 p.m. and the other day I'm gonna sleep at 3 or at 4. I'm super weird with my sleep time, when I work and when I don't work. I always work. I never take like kind of free time because I love what I'm doing. It's my passion. So for me, I'm always in the hobby, and it's same thing for you at the shop. When we dedicate our life to comics at some point, just because you love it, I don't think that anyone will stay in comics if they don't love it, because they will probably go crazy.
It takes a lot of work. Oh,
yeah, and passion. You really need to be passionate, because there is so many product coming out, and there is, it's a really, really cultural community. So if you're not aware of everything happening, you will be out of the game in a week. So it's important to be connected and always like into it and part of the community. It's really, really a medium that you need to be part of the game. You cannot just like, oh, okay, I'm doing my thing on my side. No, we are all together in this crazy thing,
Absolutely. All right. So Val, who's super sweet and one of our local coworker fans, love her to death. She says, Kevin, I love and enjoy your enthusiasm for your comic craft. So excited to watch MFKZ movie tonight. Never lose that enthusiastic joy. Good luck.
Hell yeah! Thank you, Val. I won't.
She is like when you meet people that are super encouragers in your life, Val is that for me. Like whenever I feel like I'm having a cruddy day, Val somehow she just knows and shows up. She usually brings me something sweet. She's such a nice person.
Awesome.
So have you decided or planned on any going to any conventions this year? Or are you gonna stay home?
Yeah, I'm going to New York Comic Con. I think it's October. After I'm doing C2E2 in Chicago and Emerald Comic Con in Seattle. So that's the three I will do this year for now. But it's all at the end of the year, and I got my vaccine, so I can travel. and I think after that, all the convention are going to be in Mars when it's restart. Like every year. So yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm glad to hear that you're going to get to go, and especially to those shows. Those are all really great shows.
Right. So that's why I did choose those ones, since I travel, since I have like all my travel expense and stuff like that. I cannot like afford to go to small shows, especially with the COVID, like since probably like the attending won't be the same. I don't want to take the risk. I'm just going all in on the big ones and crossing fingers, but I'm sure we all going to have a blast, and I can't wait. I just did two signing at a comic book shop last week, and it was insane. Like my smile was there, like, hey, there is human on that planet, so that was epic to just chat with people, talk comics. That it was missing in my life. It's not the same to talk like on Skype like that or StreamYard. Yeah. Right now, we are not in 2001, Kevin. So it's really not the same to have someone in front of you and talk about your book and other books. So I can't wait. It's so freaking awesome.
Oh yeah. All right, so we've run out of time like we always do. We could talk forever, I'm sure. Tell everybody where they should follow you. So if they wanted to have up-to-date information about what you're up to.
For sure. Joe Exotic Official on Instagram. That's my account. No, okay. Kevin Roditelli on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Happy Tank. Happy Tank, like the tank. But with a smile. And it's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Our website is happytank.co.
It's always a joy to talk to you, Kevin. I'm sure that I'll want to have you back when Cinnamon drops, because we want to talk about Cinnamon, of course.
Always a pleasure.
Who doesn't like cats? Come on. You picked the right thing.
Of course. Everyone loves cats. Cats and comics. What do you want more? Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Kevin. This is the end of our interviews for today. Do go to your local comic shop. Not tomorrow, because that's Tuesday. That won't work. Wednesday, and pick up those comic books. You should be first one in the door, so you can make sure to get an MFKZ #1 and don't be missing out on them. Got to have it. And don't go anywhere, because we've got programming coming up next, including my crazy show, Mishmash. See you guys in a couple minutes. Thanks, Kevin.